Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Inshallah, we'll give just a few moments for a few more to join. Let me post a link in another group. I don't know if I missed one or not, inshallah. Anybody against a little bit of Sandidi while we wait? A little bit of Sandidi. Got the book. Read along, inshallah. If not, I'm about to try to pull it up. Read along for recitation, pronunciation, and whatnot. Share screen. All right. Inshallah, read along. Loud in your head, pronunciation, get the barakat, get the blessing that's into the head society's consciousness. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله وهو العلي العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. You say the first line 3 times, inshallah, before moving on to everything else. Yallahu bil Mustafa Sindidi Yallahu Wabi Khalili Kai Ibrahim إبراهيم يالله بالمصطفى سندي يا الله وبخليلك إبراهيم يا الله يالله بالمصطفى سندري يالله وبخليلك إبراهيم يالله وبكلمك موسى صالح قادر وبشهيب وإسماعيل يالله وبسليمان نوح يونس الياسين وزكريا يحيى يهود يالله هارون يوسى الياسين وآدم ودوازل كفل سالوت يالله يوسف وبإشاق وغيرهم من أنبي ورسل كلا يالله وبالملك تران ثم صفاتهم جبريل ثم بميكائيل يالله وصاحب نفكه إسرافيل كابديار وهلكالكه إسرائيل يالله وبصحابة ثم أولياء إيمان والعاملين من الأخبار يالله وبصديق وبالفاروق ثم بزي نوريان ثم أبسطين يالله بمالك ذي المزايا شفي أبي النفات أحمل محمود يالله بالله وكلم المحفوظ ثم بأر شكل ثيم وبالكرسي الله وبالقرآن وبالتوراة ثم بما داود جاء به وروح الله بلك سلت والميل عليه الله ولأهلي وصحبه والأزواج الله وأسبلنا علينا ربي أفياتا وهب لنا الكسد في الدارين يا الله وابتلنا كل باب كنت فاتحه لسلهنا منا خيراتي يا الله واسلك بنا نجر رشد واكفنا زلنا واطرد لنا الجن والشيطان يا الله وكملا كل ما نهو ونقصده وهب لنا كل ما نعتر يا الله ورد لنا كل ذي سحب وذي هرن ويسرا كل تبسير يا الله تعمل لنا أمرا سهل لنا بدما وهب لنا رشد وتوفيق يا الله ودمرا كل أعداء تدير بنا كلا وصل لنا يا الله يا الله وكن لنا أحسما من كل ملكة ونجنا من بلايا درا يا الله وأفة أخت ما غصة مهن زلزلة شدة وفقر يا الله إهانة قلة ماذلة غلب وفقة أحتاش وجوهي يا الله وفتنة ووبهر ما درك وبرك ما سرك والكادي يا الله حل وبرد ونحب كربة نكم دللة رج والغامي يا الله وهمة وكت يدلات زلل ومكس والكف ثم كسفي يا الله وغلة ما جنون غلات مرد ثم جثمين ونكسني يا الله ومن كبهة دنيا ثم آخرة ومن فضحهما يا الله يا الله يا من على كل شيء قادر وعلى عرش الذي مستوى بالقاري يا الله إني سألتك قلبا خاشعا متواضعا وعلما كثيرا يا الله وتوبة قبلت مع مكنة رفعت مع زوجة صلحت بالدين يا الله وكن موئزا لنا من شر ذي حسد ما شر فم وشر عين يا الله وشر سر وشر كلك نيسهم مع جنهم وثوات سمي يا الله إني جعلتك في دريان يا ثقتي حسنا حسنا فكن ملجايا يا الله فلا تلكلني إلى نفسي فآلك ككن مجيبيني ثم أدوك يا الله واللسان والقلب ذكريك معا عندما المات مع الإيمان يا الله ثبت يقيني في قلبي بلا وجل حتى أوهب لك كالحق يا الله ولجل الموت واحة من مفرحة من كل شر كرب دقا يا الله وفتلي الجسم حيث روح فارقني في الكبر لا تبليان هدرا يا الله وكن نصري النسيهن ما دفن جسمي فسرت واحدا تما يا الله لا تأممن ما إما قد يراو إني بلغ فيا كل ما أخشاه يا الله ونجني وجميع المسلمين معا ونجي والدتي أمين يا الله واغفر لنا ولا واستر ما إهبانا وتوف بنا وبها في الهول يا الله أنها تجاوز وإن ارحمنا فما لها سواك وأنت بارو يا الله في برزك ما كبر كل وزارة ومن كرب وخوف ناجي يا الله لا تقتبرها بها ليست بقادرة أتك رجاها فيك يا الله وأسقنا ماءها من ماء كوثر من اخترته من جميع الخلق يا الله من كان يرشد ذا غين ويلك ذا كفر وينصر من يخشاك يا الله محمد مثا الأخيار كائدين لجنة الكل يوم الحشر يا الله عليه صل وسلم دائما أبدا ومن كفوه ليوم الدين يا الله يا الله يا الله سبحان ربي ذاتي يا أما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله والحمد لله والحمد لله رب العالمين. Barke Surin Salihu, 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 Barke Surin Salihu. If you had that in the headphones, plenty of blessings floating around in the dome right now. If you had that playing out loud in the house, Only you knew how many angels are on the way just from hearing the vibration of one of Shariq Tuba's poems. We'd be saying this thing all day. Whoo! Let me stop. We got some teachers getting ready to bring a little bit of fire, and I ain't gonna take it all up with this indeed because that's already fire enough. I do believe today, if memory serves me correct, was Brother Nur Muhammad and Astaghfirullah. Brother Nur Muhammad and Brother Shariq. Checking the roster. Absent at the moment. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Let us see.
Bismillah, Brother Diallo. It's Brother Noor and Shariq.
Alhamdulillah. Don't see them in at the moment. Message Brother Noor to see if he's available, and if not, I do believe you can keep the boat moving with some of the hitters we got in here today.
Brother Shariq messaged me, and he's coming. He's on his way. I think that there's work schedules interfere a bit, but I told him that you usually lead a zikr in the beginning. Your customary astaghfirullah.
In the meantime, how'd you know I wasn't gonna switch it up and do some la ilaha illallah today?
Alhamdulillah.
Bismillah, brother.
Alhamdulillah, bismillah, brother.
Right now, I just entered the Zoom meeting, and I don't know what was you were saying. All that mantras, that zikr, that recitation. What was that?
The one we were saying earlier is Sindidi. It's a qasida by Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's because this is new for me, and I want to know everything.
Understood. Let's see. Are you in any of the WhatsApp groups, brother?
I am friend of Cheikh Sufi Cheikh, the one from Instagram.
Okay. Inshallah, I'll see if I can get you added to the WhatsApp group, because in there's a lot of documents and information that's shared. A lot of the qasidas and poems from Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba. So there's a full-blown library just in the group itself.
It will be great. It will be great. I am friend of you in Facebook, I think.
Yes, I do believe so. Got that one just a few days or so ago, I believe, right?
So I will give you my number from there.
Alhamdulillah, I think that'll work perfect. We'll be looking forward to it.
Thanks.
So of course, yeah, in a few hadith, there's two sound hadith. One where it says that the prophet, would never be caught saying seeking astaghfirullah no less than 70 times a day. There's another hadith where it mentions where he would seek forgiveness at least 100 times a day. Luckily, these Sufi beads that we got from brothers in Senegal, whether they're Tijani or whether they're morrid count, we got 100 beads on here. So for those that like to follow and hold on to as many portions of the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as possible, that's one surefire way to do it. So 100 zikrs of Astaghfirullah, and then of course paying homage to the great Sheikh Ibrahim Fall came with something so tough and so heavy that the only zikr he needed to give his disciples was La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah is more than enough to take the disciple from just entering into the Morrid brotherhood on a straight path to the Nur Muhammad, through the Nur Muhammad, straight back to Allah wahdat al-wujud, complete union with Allah. So just in case anything unintentional may have been done today, because we're only human, we seek forgiveness of Allah for that. We seek forgiveness so that that angel on this shoulder won't write down those bad deeds during that little allotted time where he doesn't write them down. We remember Sheikh mentioning that in the class a while back. But inshallah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Astaghfirullah, 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 astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah, 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 astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah, 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 astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah, 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 astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah, 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 astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah, 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 astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah, 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 astaghfirullah. Seek the forgiveness of Allah because He is always forgiving. La ilaha illallah, 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 la ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah, 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 la ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, La ilaha Cheikh before La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. There is no God but Allah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. There is no existence but this divine reality. La ilaha illallah. 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 Oh, la ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha Cheikh before la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah, 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 la ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. There is no God but Allah. La ilaha illallah, 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 la ilaha illallah. There's no God but you and I. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah, 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 la ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah, 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 la ilaha illallah. La ilaha Cheikh before la ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah, 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 la ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Ya Muhammad sallallahu 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 alayhi wasallam. That one brought me back. Remember this old video the Sheikh had online? I think it was in the Islamic Mosque of Brotherhood. Blue fez on, way, way, way back. Real clean cut looking guy. And at the beginning of his lecture, he was getting ready to begin to speak and said the Prophet Muhammad's name one time and couldn't go forward too much further anymore until he let a few tears shed. Remember saying if the Sheikh told him that if if you can't say the name, if you say the name of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, sit there and think and meditate on it, him, what it means to and for you, what it's doing for you, and will continue to do. You can't help but cry. And that's the one thing in the Quran that tells us to do a lot. There's no number when it comes in regards to sending prayers to the prophet. It says to do it in an abundance. So next time somebody asks you, brother, why do you have all of those extra beads around your neck for? You only need your 99 for your subhanallah, alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah. Just tell them it's for sending prayers upon the prophet. And if they try to kind of poke you any further than that, just ask them, well, whenever you can tell me what number and abundance is, I'll go get a pair of zikr beads to match that one. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep going around these beads over and over and over, sending prayers upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. And that's on the morrid. But enough, I see we got one brother. I know the brother Nur Muhammad does work a late shift like myself does. Brother Shariq, assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum assalam, Brother Bilal. Thank you for that beautiful zikr.
MashaAllah, alhamdulillah. Well, inshallah, in the meantime, while we wait for the brother Nur Muhammad to come in, if you have your teaching and lessons prepared, I do believe some of us might still be floating and tingling from the one from last time. So, alhamdulillah, y'all brothers, buckle y'all seatbelts up and get ready for the ride. I will humbly pass the floor over to you, brother. Bismillah.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Salam, everyone. How's everyone doing? I see a lot of people aren't on camera, but I can feel in my heart the presences of all of your beautiful, enlightened hearts, and it is quite an honor to be back here with you, to be in this blessed gathering with such luminous personalities as yours, gathered here by the light that is Cheikh Sufi. So true blessing to be here with all of you. Like always, I think we should begin with a couple of moments of silence, because at the end of the day, none of the words that we will say today will be anything but pointers to silence. So before we do anything else, Bismillah. Alif Lam Mim. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. As we begin this conversation, or rather resume this conversation that we've been having for all these years, it's important to begin with silence so that our roots of this conversation are planted in the firmest soil, the most nutritious of soils. It is the nature of silence itself, or the nature of emptiness, that all of existence exists to illuminate. It is, the whole thing is just emptiness reflecting upon emptiness, trying to figure out what emptiness looks like, because it never looks like emptiness. And that is because whatever concepts are coming up in your mind right now, when I say the word emptiness, I'm merely making a sound, and this sound is referencing a word, and this word is referencing a set of concepts that we have in our minds. And it's easy with all words to get caught up in the web of words leading to concepts, concepts leading to other concepts, and going down that rabbit hole. And sometimes that can be a fun exercise, but words in their most useful are sort of like signs, right? That's why the Quran is called ayat, signs. The verses are called ayat, signs. And so when we use a word in its most complete usage, is to directly experience the meaning that the word is referencing. So when I say air, you could get trapped in a bunch of concepts about air, maybe air quality, maybe you're thinking of global warming, et cetera, et cetera. But I could say air, and you could and sort of like you would do with the child, right? You would show something and you would ask, what is this? If you do this exercise with yourself, and you say air, okay, direct experience of air, right? You're having this direct experience of air. It is an experience that you're having. This is the most full usage of the word. This is the reason why the word exists, is to symbolize the substance that is the real world phenomenon. So when we say this, when I say emptiness, what do you experience? Try it now. Perhaps you had some concepts pop up in your mind, right? Perhaps you thought emptiness, you've heard of this before, you're like, okay, Buddhism or something. Perhaps those concepts came up, and that's all right. But potentially what came up for you was nothing at all. Just this moment as it is occurring, without any layers of narrative put upon it. If that's what happened, then the actual meaning behind the word emptiness is something that you're looking at directly. And I begin this entire conversation with talking about how words can only ever point to the phenomenon, because we must use words to have a little conversation about what emptiness really is, right? But as we have this conversation, let us not use the conversation as a maze to keep ourselves stuck in for the purposes of entertainment, of going around and around, but rather use these words as a mirror in which to look upon yourself in, and to get out of all the mazes that your mind keeps you in, because it thinks that this is what you like doing. Emptiness, in its most accurate representation in terms of language, it would be as the number or the non-number 0, right? A lot of us would think of 0 as an embodiment of emptiness. Now, when we think of 0, most of us probably think of 0 as nothing, as there is nothing contained within it. You know, you think of it as when there's nothing left, then it's 0. And this is, of course, true. But simultaneously, what 0 also is the containment of every possibility. What do I mean by that? Any number that can come into existence out of infinity, any number at all, whether it's 1 or 1 million or 1 trillion or 9 trillion, right? Any number that comes into being, simultaneously, the negative variation of that number also comes into being. So if you could think of 1, and there's also -1, and 10, there's -10. This is merely the way that non-dual reality creates itself in this, just in general, right? So the positive and the negative, and I don't mean this in a moralizing sense. I mean positive and negative in terms of sort of the fundamental forces of the universe appear simultaneously as one single continuity, right? So 1 and -1 will always come into being together. The same as matter and antimatter always comes into being simultaneously. But what is it that binds both of these things together? Both 1 and -1, when they come into being together, create 0, right? Where they meet is 0. The synergy is 0, because 1 plus -1 is 0. So all possible realities that can ever arise, and all math is in language an abstraction of the real world. So no matter what number you could ever conceive of, and the analogy, of course, is no matter what scene you find yourself in life, no matter what circumstance you find yourself in the middle of, the end of the circumstance, the center point of reality, the 0 which encapsulates all realities, is always ever present. No matter where you find yourself, you will always find yourself at the starting point and at the ending point. Right? I want us to take just a second to really see that this is actually reality, and not just something that, you know, is being said here, but rather to observe that this is actually your actual experience. Because, in other words, you always find yourself in the present moment. You always find yourself where the infinite possibilities that reality can conjure up have collapsed into the present moment as experienced by the infinite itself. So no matter where you find yourself, you are looking at completeness itself. Because in this very moment, you are deeply and directly connected with every single moment. Because at this moment, we are at zero, as in every other moment, we are at zero as well. What are the implications of this? It's a cool little, thing to say, and maybe a cool little, I don't know, party conversation, where if you go somewhere and you're like, hey, by the way, what's cool about zero? It's actually full. But what is this? What are the implications of this for our lives? The implication for this for our lives is that no matter where you think you find yourself, you can always find yourself at zero. In Islamic terms, this is the concept of tawbah, which is, in a literal sense, means to turn. Because as we have been describing this entire time, there is almost as though there is two sides of reality, although there is not really two sides, but there is the side that manifests as the number, right? There's the side that manifests as what is in front of you, as the sensory experience. But then there is the side that is always at zero. Then there is the side which is always the background upon which sensory experience occurs. The side that is self and not the objects that are perceived by self. And what you can do in any given moment is you can turn away from the side of the manifest to the side of the background upon which the manifestation is occurring. So you can at any moment go from looking at the creation to looking at the creator without anything about your experience actually changing. But everything about your experience is changing if you just make this inward shift. I think everybody here has experiences directly of this having happened for you, right? I mean, this is, of course, at some point in your life, some sort of, you might have called it mystic experience, or you felt the presence of God. Maybe you were in a church, maybe you were in a mosque, maybe you were doing Hajj, maybe, you were just watching the sunset, but you have had this feeling of awe. You've had this awareness that you were in some presence beyond your own character, that the presence of presence was where you were. I think the role of us in this time, in this age, having this conversation, is to move beyond awe and bring what previously brought us awe into absolute reality. Meaning that we should sort of, in our relationship with divinity, graduate or grow up from being just children that are just watching our sort of parent, like in awe of like, wow, what is my parent capable of? And somebody, your parents make all the decisions for you, and we sort of view the universe the same way, right? We view nature sort of the same way, where every once in a while we'll have these magical things happen to us, and every once in a while you'll have this peak experience where you get to be really happy, but the rest of the time, you're just managing. This is just a story. This is a story that we told ourselves when we were kids. And it is time for us now to grow up and have a relationship with the absolute, with divinity, as one cannot say equals, because to imply that to say that one can have an equal relationship with divinity implies that there are two to even have a relationship in. And this thin line of using the language of duality, but not falling into the trap of believing that there are two here, is of course the mighty fine rope that we are all here to walk. But I think that with your hearts, you know what I'm talking about, without falling into the trap of thinking that I'm saying that individual humans are to become equal to God. Rather, what I am saying here is that we are merely telling ourselves this story that we are these individual humans and then we have a relationship with something outside of ourselves. This whole thing is a story. And we need to let go of this story to perceive reality, to return back to zero. We've come up with a very extravagant number, if you will, to go back to our analogy previously. And it's a fascinating number, right? Because all these numbers represent potentialities, right? So we've created these fantastic worlds and these incredible stories. And in these stories, we go on these adventures and we have to sacrifice to God and we get far from it and we have to go find it again. And as long as you want to keep playing those games and as long as you want to be in those stories, that's fine and good. But when you've had enough and when you would like to move on to a new kind of telling of what kind of existence is possible for humanity, for you as an awareness that finds itself in the human form, then it is time to let go of that story where we view divinity as something outside of us, even if we view it as something outside of us that is paternal and caring and maternal, and in fact truly step into our own nature as the self that has been seeking itself, and is itself in fact, where we never actually stop being zero, even when we are manifesting as numbers. So that being said, as anybody that's ever understood what the best use of words can be, I think we have come to the point now where words are just going to be other formations of words. And instead, I think it is time that we should return back to this emptiness, to the silence, and actually perform the tawbah that we have been talking about. So that being said, let us return back to the silence in which we started, this whole life, and in which we will end this adventure called life, and in which we started this specific conversation, and in which we'll end this conversation. So as we go into that silence, however, let us go into this silence with intention. Let us return back to the ocean with the intention of fully realizing the entire ocean, not having to be apart from any inch of it, to be ever present and all present, and to be all loving and all good and all caring and all powerful, all at the same time, in the eternal all, which is our ultimate destination. Okay? As we close our eyes, try to keep your attention on yourself. Notice the in-breath. Follow it down all the way into your stomach. Watch the next in-breath expand into your stomach and identify with that expansion. Notice the next out-breath expanding into the outside and follow that expansion. Notice that every expansion is a contraction, and every contraction is an expansion. But you do not actually expand or contract with any of these expansions or contractions. Notice yourself. Notice the thing that you are holding on to and telling yourself that it is you. Let go of that thing. Notice the new thing that you're holding on to, considering yourself. Let go of that too. Notice just how vast you are right now. Notice how far your awareness expands. And notice where your awareness ends. Notice that even what you considered the end of your awareness is an object of your awareness. So even the wall that you think keeps you from the rest of everything is made up of your own awareness. Let go of this. Notice how every sensation that you are having, including listening to this voice right here, arises from complete emptiness and returns back into emptiness. Notice that even as you hear this voice rise, you observe it fall from nothing, as nothing, into nothing. Become fully aware of how your heart feels right now, of how your body feels right now. Notice that everything that you are feeling about this moment and in this moment is present with you always. You can return here whenever you want. All you have to do is let go of whatever story you're obsessing over right now, whatever sensation it is that you're holding on to, either to try to avoid it or to try to hold on to it. And you'll find yourself back here again. Once you get good enough at it, you'll never have to leave here at all. as we get ready to open our eyes, we shall be reminded again of the words of Allah in the Holy Quran, that both the East and the West belong to Allah. And no matter where you turn your face, all you will see is the face of Allah. With this remembrance, open your eyes to the face of Allah. I wish you all much love and light. May Allah forgive us all for any shortcomings that we may have and show us the easiest path that requires no path at all to stay in Allah's presence for the rest of eternity.
Oh, yeah, fall. Shukran, beloved brother, and like, shukran for another blessed journey from the self, through the self, to the self, with the intent to bring the knowledge and awareness of that self back outward so that we live that way in our daily life. That self on the inside, as he's getting us to understand the true nature of that self is bliss. The true nature of that self is peace. And if we can bring that outward, everything else that naturally exists in the state of Islam, we will be able to do also. All we got to do is turn that switch on and keep that light on, right? Alhamdulillah. Inshallah, I haven't heard from the brother Nur Muhammad GS yet, but I'm not too sure what's going on. But Allah's best of planners.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Bismillah, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Is it clear?
Yes, it's clear. We can hear you.
Allah is most definitely the best of planners. Driving on this highway, I said if I come to a rest stop before Nur Muhammad shows up, it's possible I might be able to fill in for him, if that's okay with the disciples.
Okay, what do you mean okay? I think disciples, would it be all right if we let the great Sheikh give a little bit of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to us real quick while he's at the rest stop? I think that'll be all right, won't it?
That's amazing. A rest stop just appeared out of nowhere, so I pulled over.
I mean, the floor is yours, beloved.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله وهو العلي العظيم الفاتحة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. We want to speak on the path of Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba, what we have learned from the masters in Tuba who we have studied with, and a verse in one of Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba's Qasides. The first is a review topic that we have spoke on several times, but maybe there's one or two new disciples who never heard about the morrid triangle. I wish you would write these words down. You will hear some new words that maybe you haven't heard in Arabic. The first principle of this path is love. The first principle of our path is love. Sheikh Ahmed Bamba has a qaside called the Morrid Sadiq. Everyone is a morrid. When you take your bayat, you are a morrid. A morrid is a disciple of the Sheikh. A morrid Sadiq is a true disciple of the Sheikh. And this Sadiq comes from Abu Bakr Sadiq, who was known as the truthful one. So the morrid Sadiq in the qaside, Sheikh Ahmed Bamba gives 8 principles. He says a true disciple must have 8 qualities. And the first quality of a morrid Sadiq, he says, is love for Allah, love for the Sheikh. Without love for Allah and love for the teacher, we don't have anyone. We don't have anything. My first Sheikh said to me when I first got to his house in 1996, through a translator, he said, as soon as you step foot into this house, Allah has begun to bless you. And then he said, the only one closer to Allah than you is the one who loves Allah more than you. So the entire path is love. Sheikh Ahmed Bamba says in one qaside, Dini Hubullah, meaning my religion is loving God. My way of practicing spirituality is through loving Allah. Dini Hubullah. That's in, I think it's in Abubtu, one of the qasaids of Sheikh Ahmed Bamba. So based on the foundation of this way being love, we have 2 concepts we need to go over. The first is the morrid triangle, which is love, work, and wilayat. Love, khidmah, and wilayat. And the second one is love, khidmah, and adiyah. So the first morrid triangle, you've heard me talk about. Some disciples might want to write this down, maybe it's this first time, but our way is based off of love, which is hub or wadud in Arabic, love for Allah, love for the Sheikh. And then it's based off of khidmah, which is some service that we do for Allah or service we do for the order. And this khidmah will bring to you what is called wilayat. Wilayat is the third principle of the first triangle. So we have love, khidmah, and wilayat. Please write that down. I'm going to give you some explanations, inshallah. So first, we say we love Allah. We say we love Sheikh Ahmed Bamba. But this love must become an action. This love must become an action. Love is a verb. So from the idea of loving Allah, loving the Sheikh, we have the word khidmah, which means service. From love to service, you put your love for Allah into action. Khidmah, Khidma. Our beloved Master Sheikh Ahmed Bamba says you can call him Abdullah or Khadim Rasul. The word Khadim Rasul means the worker or servant of the Rasul, the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam, but the root of the word Khadim is Khidmah. So in this order, you have to put in some type of Khidmah or service. In the Bhagavad Gita, our beloved Krishna teaches 8 branches of yoga. And one of the branches of yoga in the Bhagavad Gita is what is called karma yoga, purifying your karma through doing work and service. Karma yoga is when you would work for the guru or work for the ashram. That same concept of karma yoga in Wolof is, or in Arabic, is called khidma, service. Our beloved master Sheikh Ahmad Bamba had a master with him named Sheikh Ibn Fall. Sheikh Ibn Fall said that work is worship. Sheikh Ibn Fall's path of the Bifal teaches that your work, your khidma, is actually a form of ibadah, worship. Khidma is a form of ibadah and worship. What we find in our way is that a lot of people come and take the bayat. They love the stories of Sheikh Ahmad Bamba. They love the stories of Sheikh Ibn Fall, but they never get a chance to put in some khidma to put that love into action. Our beloved Sunni Sayu said that Sheikh Ahmad Bamba made many sheikhs, and he said none of the sheikhs that Sheikh Ahmad Bamba made even reached the feet of Sheikh Ibn Fall. None of the sheikh, this is what Serene Sayu said. Serene Sayu said, Sheikh Ahmad Bamba made many masters, but he said all of these masters never even reached the feet of the station of Sheikh Ibn Fall, because Sheikh Ibn Fall's focus was khidma, khidma, khidma. The name of our Dara is Khidmatul Qadim. If anyone asks you what is the name of our Sufi school, the name of our school is a Wolof word, Khidmatul Qadim, which means our path is to do service for Qadim, who is Qadim Rasul. Khidmatul Qadim is the name of our school. When I was sitting with our beloved Bodam Dam, I asked Bodam Dam, I said to the Sheikh, the name of our Dara is Khidmatul Qadim. And I asked him, do you think we should change? I said, can you give us another name? I want to have a name from you for our Dara. And the Sheikh was happy. The Sheikh said, Khidmatul Qadim is a good name. He said, keep that name. So if it's acceptable to the Sheikh, it's acceptable for me. So the name of our Dara is Khidmatul Qadim. So we have love and khidma. You have to find a way to put in some khidma or service. There is a lot. People say, well, what can I do for the order? There is a lot of khidma going on right under your noses. One of the biggest things that's coming up right now is the Magal of Sheikh Ahmad Bamba. There is work that needs to be done for the Magal here in America as far as deciding where the disciples of our Dara will celebrate the Magal. Now, Sheikh Ahmad Bamba says, on the day of the Magal, wherever you are, you need to cook some food and give it away. Feed people. Feeding people is a form of khidma. We cannot express the importance of doing khidma in this way for the Magal. Sheikh Ahmad Bamba says, whoever puts more effort into the celebration of his exile, whoever puts more khidma or service into it is higher than the disciples that did not focus on his Magal. Okay, so I want to give the example of Sheikh Ibn Fall. Someone came to Sheikh Ibn Fall and said, Sheikh Ibn Fall, I want to be a wali, I want to be a saint, like the previous high masters of previous time periods. And the disciples said to Sheikh Ibn Fall, but I don't do all of the salat that they did. I don't read as much Quran as they did. I don't do as much zikr as these previous saints did. How can I become a wali or a saint? Sheikh Ibn Fall said, Adam. He addressed the disciple as my child. He said, oh, my child. He said, in this time period, if you want to become a saint or a wali, he said, you must cook food and give it away to people. So Sheikh Ibn Fall told the disciple, if you want to be a wali, you want to have the highest station, you must cook food and feed people. Cook food and give it away. So this is the importance of the khidma. In our order, we have about 5 disciples who are focusing on doing khidmah right now in our admin or administrative group. If you want to partake in some of the khidmah and work that is being done, please put a message in the chat group so the admins, I think I see at least 4, I see at least 3 of the admins here. If you want to be in the khidmah that is going on right now, just put your name in the chat group and say, please add me to the khidmah group or the admin group, and you will be given some form of khidmah and service that you can do for the order. And what's so important about this khidmah is the third point of the triangle is called walayat. Walayat. When you love Allah, you love the Sheikh, you start doing khidmah, which is the second principle. When you put in khidmah with love, Sheikh Ahmad said that walayat will come to you. Now, what is walayat? W-I-L-A-Y-A-T. Walayat, as my Sheikh has told me, the Sheikh said walayat is a light that comes to your heart from Allah. Who wouldn't want to have light coming directly to your heart from Allah? The Sheikh said walayat has 2 components. He said, one, it's a light that comes directly to your heart from the service that you were doing from Allah. And he said, inside of this light is ilmul laduni, which means unwritten knowledge or secret knowledge of God. So walayat has 2 components. It has nur, which is the light that comes to your heart. And the Sheikh said, inside of this nur is ilmul laduni, or knowledge. And he says that when you love Allah, you love the Sheikh, you do the khidmah, you do some service for the order. When that walayat comes with this nur and ilm, light and knowledge, it will increase your love for God. It will increase your love for the Sheikh. And when that love increases, your khidmah will increase. And when your khidmah increases, more walayat is coming. This is what we call an eternal triangle, because it never stops. The more love you have, the more khidmah you do. The more khidmah you do, the more light that will come directly to your heart. Now, what is important is that this khidmah must be done under a living master. It must be done under a living teacher. It must be done in a dara. It must be done under the guidance of a teacher or a sheikh. So we have that. We have a dara khidmatul qadim. We have a sheikh. And we all are putting our focus on this khidmah. And I can tell you that the walayat that comes to each disciple will be different. The walayat that will come to JC, the nur and the knowledge will be different than the walayat that will come to Brother John. The walayat that will come to Brother John will be different than the walayat that comes to Sister Ruby. The walayat that comes to Sister Ruby will be different than the walayat that comes to Khadim Ali Fall. And this will increase your love. Does anybody have any questions about these first 3 words before we go into the second 3? All right, so in Sheikh Abdul-Bama's Qasad, he says the morrid is from Huba wal Khidma wal Adiyah, a deity. So in the Qasad, Sheikh Abdul-Bama, he gives the love for the Sheikh and love for Allah. Then he says you have to do Khidma, which is the service. And then the third part is what we call adiyah, which means giving a gift to your sheikh. It could be a monetary gift. It could be anything that you give to the sheikh is called adiyah. Adiyah is a gift that you give to the teacher. Now, I don't want to tell my business, but every time I saw Boredom Dam, every time I greeted the sheikh, I put $100 in his hand. Every time I saw him, when I put my hand in his hand, it had $100 in it. This is what we call giving adiyah. Now, the people in the West are not used to that. We're not used to giving a monetary donation to a spiritual teacher because we've seen so many charlatans, so many fake teachers. We say, oh, no, I'm not giving this guy no money. I'm not giving this teacher. I'm not giving any money to the church. They're charlatans. But in this path, Sheikh Ahmed Obama says huba, which is love. He says khidma, which is service. And he says a deity, which is giving a gift to your sheikh. Where did I learn that from? My first sheikh, Sheikh Becho, said that every time he greeted Serene Salihu, he said, every time I greeted Serene Salihu, I gave him a adiyah. He said, I never went to the sheikh with an empty hand. So when I heard my sheikh say that back in 1998, 97, I said, well, if my sheikh never went to his sheikh with an empty hand, every time I went to Sheikh Becho, I gave him a adiyah. Every time I went to Serene Salihu, I gave Serene Salihu a adiyah. And now we have a new Sheikh Bodam Dam. Every time I saw Bodam Dam, Allah knows I gave him $100 every time. And that was my idea. So in the morrid path, it says that my sheikh said, wherever you give your money, that's where your heart will go. He gave a funny example. My sheikh, he said, people don't love going to the nightclub. He said, people go to the nightclub because they spent so much money in the nightclub, their heart is attached to that nightclub. So if you give your money to Islam, you give your money to the sheikh, your heart will go to Islam. Your heart will go to loving God. Your heart will go to loving the sheikh. This is the importance of wherever your money goes, your heart is sure to follow. In the West, for years, I never talked about adiyah because I didn't want to scare disciples away. But in 2021, with the station that we have, if I don't give you the uncut, raw teaching about khidma, love, walayat, and adiyah, I will be doing you a disservice because I know the value of giving adiyah to the sheikh. This is something I have done. So the adiyah will connect your heart to the teacher, to Allah, to the Prophet Muhammad, and to whatever the teacher that's do. I don't want to say, but anybody who gives Cheikh Sufi adiyah is going to increase your love for zikr. I guarantee you, if you have a problem making salat, or you have a problem reading qasids, or you have a problem doing a daily zikr, if you give this guy Cheikh Sufi adiyah, you will increase your love for worship. It will increase your love for khidma. How do we write the word adiyah? A-D-I-Y-A-H. So this is what we wanted to stress today. The first triangle, Dara, D-A-R-R-A-H. Khidmatul Qadim, K-H-I-D-M-A, Khidma, T-U-L, Qadim, K-H-A-D-I-M. How do we send, it's easy. You can send adiyah to, what is it? Hashtag 484BA. Hashtag 484BA. BA. Now, also, you can send a adiyah by reading a qasid for the sheikh. You can send a adiyah by reciting, I recite Qul Huwallahu Ahad 200 times a day as a adiyah to the sheikh. Serene Salihu loves qasids. Sometimes I would go see Serene Salihu if I didn't have the money. I would give him a qasid as a gift, as a adiyah. One time I went to Serene Salihu and gave him Mohibul Nafi and Wakana Hakan as a gift, as a adiyah. He looked at the qasids and his eyes lit up. Send prayers as a gift to the sheikh. If you're reading Sindidi, Before you read the Sindidi, make your intention. Say, oh Allah, I have intention of reading this Sindidi as a gift to Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba. I have intentions on reading this Sindidi as a gift to Sheikh Ibn Fall. When you do your zikr or worship, you can get twice the blessing by doing it as a gift to the Sheikh. If you do this, it's going to increase your talibe. It's going to increase your level of being a disciple. And in the Holy Quran, and in Islam, we have 5 pillars. We have the 5 pillars of the Shahada, bearing witness, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah. We have the pillar of making the Salat 5 times a day. We have the pillar of Ramadan, fasting in Ramadan. We have the pillar of making Hajj, going to Mecca. And we have the pillar of Zakat. Zakat is a charity that you give. It's a donation that you give on the 2 Eids. Now, if we look at the word zakat and take the root of it, the word zakat, the root of it is Allah's name, Azaki. Azaki is the name of Allah that means Allah is the purifier. The one who purifies you is Azaki. So when you give those zakat, it purifies you, one, from the name Zaki, but also it purifies the money that you have left. Let's say you have $100. If you have $100 and you give $10 in zakat, it will purify the other $90. So based on that principle of giving zakat, when you give adiyah to the sheikh, it's going to purify the money that you have, and it's going to purify you. Now, Serene Saliu says, when you give adiyah, it will take an empty pot and bring something into that pot. Serene Saliu says, if you have very little and you give adiyah, it will add to that very little. He said, if you have a small amount of money, or a little, if you have another amount of money and you give the adiyah, it will increase that amount of money. And then he said, if you have a lot of money and you give adiyah, it will make all of your money blessed. Now, in the Quran, it says that when you give zakat, or when you spend your money in the path of Allah, the Quran says every dollar you give is like 1 grain of corn. And that 1 grain of corn will produce 7 ears of corn. So the multiplication, the return of your gift, according to the Quran, is more than 700-fold, because 1 grain of corn, the Quran says, will produce 7 ears of corn, and each ear of corn probably has 100 grains on it. I never talked about this, because I am not one to talk about giving money to anyone. But now, if you see me driving trucks, that means I'm trying to get some money. And when I get this money, I'm going to give it away by buying farmland, building a house for disciples, and building a masjid. And all the money I'm trying to make is for the disciples. Okay, let's make that clear. I'm not driving these trucks to get money to buy myself a nice car. No. My mission, I've told everybody, we need to have a farm growing our own food. On that farm, we must have places for disciples to live. We must have a masjid for worship. And we must teach Tasawu Sufism on that farm. The way of Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba, wherever Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba went, Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba had 2 things that he did all the time. Wherever Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba went, he did 2 things. When he got to an area, Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba said, build a mosque, 1. And he said, start farming, 2. This is the way of Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba. Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba said, build a mosque for worship. And he said, start farming, which is Khidmah. So we are following that model in America by, we must have a farm, and on that farm, we must do worship. We need a masjid. And that ain't gonna come for free. All right? Astaghfirullah azim wa atubu ilayhi, la ilaha illahu al hayyul qayyum. Does anybody have any questions or comments about what we have just said?
Yeah, Sheikh, if you could let us know if the hadiyah is not money but something else, how can we get that to you?
Oh yeah, like, okay, you might say, I want to recite 100 Salatul Fati as a gift to Cheikh Sufi.
No, I'm saying if it's something tangible, like for example, I seen you give a Sheikh a book once, and that was like a hadiyah, right?
Yeah,
I'm saying
when I
stuff
get,
like that, some tangible.
wow, right now I don't have an address. I'm in the middle of Kansas right now, and I don't know where I'm going. I'm a traveling dervish. So it's almost impossible to send me something in the mail right now. It's almost impossible. I don't know where I'll be. But Allah knows best, huh?
Well, I meant just in general. I don't mean like right now in this moment. I meant in general. Just, but we could talk about that on WhatsApp.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. For anyone who knows me, my house is in Las Cruces, New Mexico. I have not been home in over 3 months. The traveler. I haven't been in my house for 3 months. I actually need somebody to go there and live in that house, but I can't seem to get anyone to move out to Las Cruces, New Mexico, because that's where we want to start building the farm, is out in the Mexico area. Inshallah to all of this. Does anybody have another question or comment they want to ask?
Yes. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Hey, walaikum salam, brother Sincere.
I just would like to say thank you for making that connection between Khidmah and it was Khidmah and Karma Yoga.
Yeah, Khidmah and Karma Yoga. You're a man of the Vedas. You know about Hanuman.
Oh yes.
Hanuman, all he was doing was serving. Oh, I don't want to say it. You should turn the recording off. But Hanuman and Sheikh Rafal got a relationship that I cannot say in this call. That's all I'm going to say.
Me and brother.
I'm trying to follow Quran and Sunnah. I'm trying to clean up my act and follow the Quran and the Sunnah. That's what I'm on right now, Quran and Sunnah.
You a tease, Sheikh.
Alhamdulillah. I'm on Quran and Sunnah. Anyone else have a question or a comment? So please try to figure out how you can, at this point in our journey, Sister Ruby is leading the Khidmah for our Dara. If you want to participate, Brother Yusuf, I don't want to tell everybody, but Brother Yusuf, Brother JC, and Sister Ruby are leading the Khidmah for our Dara right now. If you want to get involved with the Khidmah, you need to get in touch with JC, Sister Ruby, or who else is doing, and Brother Yusuf. They're actively doing the Khidmah right now. And they are getting blessings that the people who are not doing Khidmah, I hate to say it, if you're not doing Khidmah, you're missing out on a lot. You're missing out on a lot.
You know what's funny, Cheikh Sufi? It's the things that you say you're not gonna say. Like 2 seconds later, you wind up saying, but the the things you say you want to say, that's what you wind up not saying.
Yeah, that's true. I don't like to water the teachings down. I like to just tell the truth. So help me Allah. But we know Sheikh Ibn Fall has been on the earth more than 70 times, but we're not going into that today. We're not going to that. Sheikh Ahmed Bamba and Sheikh Ibn Fall are still here on the earth. They're still here. Definitely. Serene Sali and Baki is still here on the earth. They ain't going nowhere. All right. Anybody else have a question or comment? Because I got at least 3 more hours of driving to do. All right. I hope I didn't disappoint anyone. I know Nur Muhammad was supposed to teach tonight. I had no intentions on saying anything, but since he was not here, the Sufi is the son of the moment. And I told myself, if a rest area comes up before Nur Muhammad, do you know the rest area? As soon as I said that, it said, a sign said rest area 1 mile. So I was supposed to give this teaching tonight. Allahumma asli ummata Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma farijan ummati Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma irham ummata Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma asli ummata Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma farijan ummati Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma irham ummata Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma asli ummata Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma farijan ummati Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma irham ummata Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I don't want to call people out, but Imam Diallo is very, very intelligent. He's very intelligent. I know they had some posts about adiyah in the Bottom Dime group yesterday, and I ain't psychic, but I know I received a adiyah from Brother Diallo yesterday, and I'm pretty sure it's possible that it was from those posts in the Bottom Dime group about adiyah. So I want to thank you publicly, Brother Diallo. May Allah give you the wilayat from this adiyah that you sent yesterday. Alhamdulillah.
I mean, Allah, like you say, Allah is the best of planners. I do believe if we check the timestamps, both of those came through right around the same time. I can't remember which one happened first, whether it was the message popped up or I sent the adiyah.
All praises due to Allah for the Morrid Sadiq. All praises due to Allah. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. On the road again, making zikr for all my friends. I can't wait to make this zikr again. Assalamu alaikum.
Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. Man, I don't know about anybody else in any other group or any other dar, but man, we are definitely blessed to have that brother right there in our midst. You know, the teachings say that the Sheikh has to be living. That man that right there is living every single waking moment that he has the ability, the strength and the breath in his body to do so. And like he said, he's doing it all for the order, for the brothers, for the sister, for the Dara, for our future, for us to have a place to be if and when crap hits the fan over here in the West. The system that we have, it isn't only something spiritual, it isn't only something metaphysical to kind of just stay in awe about. It's highly practical to the point to where we can literally do this over here together. If any of you guys are avid book readers, I think it might be in the Google Drive, and I'll see if I can save it to share it somehow. But there's a book out called Fighting the Greater Jihad. Fighting the Greater Jihad by Sheikh Anta Babu, who is actually an immediate descendant of Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba. So you know he got some fire in that book. But he tells this story beginning back with Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba's great grandfather. And you kind of get to see how they would plan ahead. They were able to use their intuition to think ahead, to kind of plan before the French and the German and Portuguese would come in, to kind of see ahead of time as to what they were going to do, what their plan of attack was, so they knew how to organize, migrate, and if they needed to arm themselves, all based off of Quran and Sunnah. The majority of all of those were all nonviolent. 95% of them all nonviolent. But from Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba's great-great-grandfather all the way up to him, they used that same system to make a safe place for their people, Look at Tuba right now. When Sheikh Hamid Obama walked across that place, man, it was a desert with a tree in the middle of it. And now look at it. So if that can blossom forth from an area where there was a desert and a tree in the middle of it, there's a few places over here where we got some fertile soil that way it should be pretty easy for us to grow. To put some of this work to good use. But to end on a quick lesson, the beginning at the beginning, those 3 sets of zikr, those are going to be very important. Doesn't really matter which morrid order that you're in, whether it's the morrid, Tijani, Shadli, Qadriya, or whatnot. The Astaghfirullah, my trademark. Salatul Nabi, any prayers on the Prophet, and the zikr of La ilaha illallah. And then the reason and why is because essentially all of those are mentioned multiple times throughout the Quran and the Sunnah. So we must incorporate these in our daily practice. Chapter 110, verse 3, Allah commands and seek his forgiveness because he is always forgiving. Or 3:135, and those who, when they commit shameful acts and wrong their souls, and then remember Allah quickly, seek forgiveness for their sins, and who can forgive sins except Allah. It's all through the book, all through the Quran, all through the Hadith. The same thing with the Salatul Nabi, prayers on the Prophet. It's said that verily Allah and his angels are sending blessings on the Prophet. O you who believe, send prayers upon him in abundance. So us with these long zikr deeds, yeah, we can use those for some Salatul Nabi. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for those on this side, and the angels are sending prayers and salutations to the Lord Muhammad, to the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we must do the same also in the La ilaha illallah. If any of y'all went through the Bayfall to get here to Morridism, you guys already know how powerful and how strong La ilaha illallah is. You essentially negate everything that you think exists until there's nothing left but Allah. La ilaha illallah. There is nothing at all, not a thing, except Allah, manifesting in multiplicity over and over and over again. Zikr and meditating on that enough is enough to take you from brand new morrid to sitting right beside Allah, inshallah. But before we leave, we'll just close with Salatul Fatihi. I do believe I have that guy saved somewhere just for those who might not know it. Be transliterated. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله وهو العلي العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلاة الفاتحة إن شاء الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. Verily Allah and his angels are sending blessings upon the Prophet. O you who believe, send prayers and salutations upon the Prophet with abundance. With an abundance. With abundance. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuhu. Pray each and every one of you have a blessed night, even better blessed tomorrow morning.
Ameen.